So she's a Sunny listener. She's a mom, and she wanted us to promote Rare Disease Day. And I was like, Jennifer, why don't we talk about your family on my podcast? So she is my guest this week. And I want to thank Mattress Mac and Gallery Furniture for generously sponsoring my podcast all the time. Jennifer, it's so cool. I get to see you. I've spoken to you on the radio, never got to see your pretty face. Tell
Thank
us how
you.
this all went down. You're a Sunny listener who became a winner, and I asked you a question and then you end up on the podcast. So tell us about what happened that day.
So I listen to you guys all the time. I think I've called one couple different times. And in the past, I've always wanted to, like, I've emailed in before asking about Rare Disease Day or how can I get an idea for a show kind of put out on the radio. And I didn't receive a response. And so this time I was like, you know what? At the very end of this, when I know she's gonna like ask for my information and then she's gonna get off, but I'm gonna just shoot in real quick and say, hey, can I ask you a question? And you said yes. So I very much appreciate it. This is far more than what I was expecting. I really just wanted to shout out on the day of, and this is actually very exciting.
Well, it's you mentioned your son,
I did,
and
yes.
in the when I was getting your information, I think you were on Battle of the Burbs,
I
right?
was,
And I
yes,
asked you about, well, you said you just moved, and I was like, well, how do you like your new neighborhood? And you said, well, my commute's a lot less.
yes,
And then you started to talk about your son, and
yes.
that's what intrigued me.
Yes. So previously when where we were living, I was on the road about 4 hours every day. I would drive my daughter to school. We lived kind of out in the country, so we had to commute her to her school, and we passed up a couple different elementary schools just to get to hers because of where she was zoned. And then my son was in therapy in Sugar Land, and so I would have to go another hour that way to get him to therapy, and then another 30 minutes into Houston for work. And then at the end of the day, you turn around and do that all again. So it equated to about 4 hours every day. And really, after about a year of doing that, my husband and I talked, and I just told him, I said, I can't physically do this anymore.
Right.
It's emotionally draining. It's tiring. I'm not the best mom and wife that I could be for all of you because I'm just trying to get through to the end of the day.
Right.
So we talked about it a lot and ended up deciding to move to Needville. So there's a lot of benefits from it. We're in a smaller town, which is great because more you get to know more people. We're still in that newness phase where we're still meeting people, getting to know the school that he's going to be a part of one day. Currently, my daughter's going to the elementary school and she's loving it.
Good.
And then we're closer to all the resources that we need for Aaron. The therapy in Sugar Land, then me for work. And as he starts getting older, he's 4 right now, he'll be 5 in April. And there's just different things that aren't available in every town that you would have for a typical child. So if he wants to do any kind of baseball or t-ball or anything like that, right now we don't have that, and we didn't have it where we were. We would have to travel really far to get to it. So as he starts coming into those things, we're going to be closer to those kinds of activities for him.
Now tell us about Aaron, because Aaron is he's special needs, and tell
Yes.
us the story of Aaron.
So Aaron is he's just a sweet, loving little boy. He loves to hug. That's one of the biggest things about his syndrome. It's called Smith-Magenis syndrome.
Wait, say it again. Say it slowly.
It's Smith-Magenis syndrome. It's named after the two doctors who founded it.
Smith McGinnis.
Yes, ma'am. It
Okay.
is the best way that I've ever described it. And one of the doctors told me that it was probably the best way to describe it. It is a mixture of Down syndrome and autism. Then it's kind of the worst and best of both. You've got the very loving, very happy, very easy to get along with, but then you've got that quirky, like, I'm gonna just go off and I have no idea why I'm doing this. So the behavior aspects of it. He also has a flip circadian rhythm, which means he's up at night and he sleeps during the day, or he tries to, but we have to do our very best to keep him from doing that. But mostly he's just a sweet, loving little boy. He loves his sister, loves his mom and dad. He remembers people even when he hasn't seen them in forever or isn't used to being around them. He's just a sweet little thing.
So you want to raise awareness about this type because I've never heard of it. I mean, I've spoken with lots of Down syndrome, but Down
Mhm.
syndrome and autism is something that's new
So
to me.
yeah, so just kind of like I looked up some of the facts too for you guys, just so I wasn't misquoting, and I was looking at the CDC. So Down syndrome affects about 1 in 1,200 people. Autism is 1 in 36. Our diagnosis is 1 in 15 to 25,000 people. In order for something to be considered a rare disease, you have to have fewer than 1 in 200,000 Americans. So that's why we are considered a rare disease. Um, Most doctors, when I go in and talk to them, have not heard of Smith-Magenis syndrome. I am Erin's advocate in every aspect of this. Um, Most of them, they're like, okay, well, so we have a geneticist, and I'm lucky that we are in Houston in the area that we're at, because Texas Children's has a clinic designated just for SMS children, whether it's one of 5 in the nation.
Wow.
So we are lucky in that aspect. And I'm sure a lot of special needs parents, especially ones of children with rare diseases, don't consider themselves lucky. I am. I have a higher availability of help than what most of them will get. A lot of parents are having to travel to come to these different places. And if you're in the middle of the United States, you're probably traveling really far to one of the far ends of our country to get the help that you need. Otherwise, you are in every ways definitely the advocate and the one telling the doctors this is what it is. And most of the time, they don't believe you because they're the doctor and they know more. They've been to medical school. So who are you? You're the mom, you're the dad. You don't know what you're talking about, but I do. Um, I've had to push, like, one of the biggest aspects we have with Aaron, especially right now, we're still dealing with it, and probably will for most of his life, his ears. He's constantly getting ear infections. Well, I have been told ears are ears. Well, ears are not just ears. Ears are different when it comes to our kids. His ear works differently, and you can't just do what you typically do for a regular child, and it doesn't work. And so we are on our 5th set of tubes in 4 years.
Wow.
They've already fallen out. They lasted 3 months. And we are now going to be asked to see, I think it is now our 4th ENT, to have a new procedure that hasn't been done in kids his age to see if there's something they can do for him.
How do you keep yourself going? I was a mom of 5, get up for
Mhm.
work at 3 in the morning. I mean, it was brutal, but the kids were healthy. They were obnoxious. It was a typical scenario. You've got this precious child. You're dealing with the medical community that just doesn't know. How do you keep yourself going?
So one of the things that I found, because it was very difficult, I think the first year of his diagnosis, like the first 2 years of his life, we really didn't even know what was going on. Just we had a difficult child.
Right.
Then we got his diagnosis at 17 months, and I think that first year of his diagnosis, we had a game plan. We had a head to toe evaluation. We needed to know what does his body physically do. Um,
Was
and all
that your
these
doing, Jennifer? Was that
No,
you?
that
No.
was his geneticist.
Okay.
They
Okay.
were like, we need to make sure, his heart is good, his head is good. We've done this, we've done that. And we want to make sure we do our due diligence, because there's like some of the kids have some more severe issues as far as holes in the heart, heart conditions, kidney issues, liver issues.
Right.
We're lucky. And again, I say that we are in a more mild physically aspect of all that. Now, Aaron
Mhm.
does have a misshaped heart, and there are some aspects of that we have to keep an eye on. But as of right now, it doesn't affect him in his daily life. So I spent that first year just very busy keeping up with doctor's appointments. What is next on my checklist? And then I had this whole kind of like gap year of I don't have anything to fill my time other than to think about what's wrong. What am I going to now miss out on as a future parent? Like, I'm not going to have that typical my child grows up, my child leaves my house. Now I'm just a grandma. Like, I am, and yes, at 36, I'm thinking those things. The rest of my life will be spent being a caregiver for somebody else and living my life for someone else. So I had like a really dark year actually, where I had not just Aaron, we had some loss of family, just loss of friends, just a hard year. And then I had a fellow mom in a share group that we're in. She shared a video about something called the SMS Research Foundation, and I started watching this video. I shared it with my husband because he had made me watch some videos on Netflix about CRISPR technology and gene therapy. And this video that I saw that this mom had posted, I was like, this is exactly what that video was talking about. Am I right? And so he watched it and he was like, oh my gosh, yes. So we found the SMS Research Foundation, and they are doing research to try to help give back our kids what they're missing if they can figure out and I say that lightly. He's missing his genes. He's not missing, love and affection. But he's missing the ability to live a normal life. And with that, his sister eventually will not be able to live a normal life because there's that expectation as a parent that I hope my daughter would want to take over for her brother and not just put him somewhere. Um, and at the same time, there's the hope that maybe we can give him a future that's just like hers. Maybe they can be normal. Maybe. So that's what gives me the ability to keep going. I have this hope that we're going to find the answer. And if I'm being naive and we don't find it for my child, maybe we find it for someone else one day and we help someone else. So again, I'm not living just for me and my children. I'm living to help spread awareness, help spread the hope that we can all have a better life one day.
That's amazing. What do you do for a living? What were you doing before you realized that your child was going to need you?
I'm still doing what I was doing, just not on a completely full-time scale. I am a project assistant for a construction company in Houston. We build all over Texas. Well, we build all over the country, actually. But our primary base is in Houston. So I keep doing that. During COVID, I worked from home for a while because we didn't know how COVID would affect Aaron. And then eventually it also became Aaron can't go to daycare. He is too aggressive. He will hurt other kids. So you couldn't just put him into a daycare. And so I had to go through and find a solution to that, which is ABA therapy, which is like behavioral therapy. So he's in that currently, and he's been there for almost 2 years before he'll be able to go into a public school system.
Jennifer, you're going to keep finding angels in your path because you keep searching. I mean, you
I
will.
keep looking for people to help, yes.
You
And
do. You do.
like I said, I wasn't even looking for this. I wasn't even looking to talk about SMS. I was looking just to get you guys to do a shout out when Rare Disease Day comes out, because there are so many other parents like me and my husband. It's not all just about him and his diagnosis. There's thousands of other families that are affected, and they have other rare diseases that aren't even like Aaron's.
hmm I've got a friend in the Woodlands area whose son has Batten's disease,
Okay.
and she has raised such awareness over the years. Our kids went to kindergarten together, and that's when the disease started affecting this
Mhm.
perfectly normal child. It's a chromosome type situation. And I bet people would want to get in touch with you. Are you making yourself available? Is there a
I
group that you belong to?
I do. I belong to the if you go to smsresearchfoundation.org, I am on there. I don't know exactly how you can reach out to me. I can give you my information if there's ever parents that wanted to
Yeah,
reach
we'll
out.
we'll post it. When we put
Okay,
this up on our social media, we'll post your information if you don't
perfect.
mind.
Yes, no, that's absolutely fine. One of the things like so it's weird. Like I've never seen myself as like a someone who could be like the roadmap for someone else. And it's one of the things that my husband and I have started doing. Like we have some other friends from work that their kid was starting to show these different symptoms. And I was like, tell them to reach out to me, let me help. Like I've not only learned with Aaron, there's so many aspects of it between the doctors and the insurance company. And then just in general, like you go to a grocery store and how do you behave? You've got to just kind of ignore like what everybody else is doing. If they're staring at you because your kid's throwing a fit, it's okay. Like just say hi, smile. Most of them, they really aren't judging you. They really are probably just kind of curious, like what's going on. Some of them might be. My son doesn't show the typical signs of being special needs. So in most cases, they probably think I'm just a bad mom who's giving in to their child's fit. And I'm like, well, that's fine. Yeah, I probably am, but there's 1,000 other parents like me that do that too. Um, so I'm definitely about helping others too. It's not, like I said, it's not about just us. it's helping people find their path too. So
All
yes,
right.
I would love for you to have our information.
I'm going to suggest something to you. And I don't know if you thought about this. Maybe your husband mentioned it. You've got the face for TikTok and social media. You could
No.
do, no, I'm serious. You could do tutorials on TikTok. You could have little Aaron on. You could show what you do to calm him down. Do you know what a resource you could be to a mom who's scrolling through in her private time, her quiet time, and she sees your face and your little boy, and you're giving a tip that might change her life? I'm just putting it out there. I'm not
I
saying you have to
appreciate
do
it.
it.
We'll have to think about that. I haven't we
Something to
hadn't
think
we hadn't
about.
thought about that.
There is a reason why you and I had to meet on my podcast.
I'm
Maybe,
excited.
maybe that was the idea.
Maybe I think
All
I'd
right,
have to learn how to use TikTok.
you have to learn. I'm
So
serious.
it's a little above my
You now have a platform, and your husband could do the videos like my husband does with me. I'm telling you, you could be a great resource. Now, I want
thank
you to
you.
promise, now that we know each other, you have to still call in to win prizes on
Oh, I
Sunny.
plan on it. I was gonna call this morning because I knew the song, but I was like, yeah, no, I just won last week. I probably shouldn't call again yet.
Well, next time, is Aaron verbal? Like, can he speak and everything?
He's not verbal yet. He has a
Okay.
few words that he does say. Now Abby is Abby's like, oh, you won on the radio
Have
again.
her come on then, because you know that's it. It's so important to make sure she gets a lot of attention
She
since he's
does.
always getting all the attention.
We won tickets to Pink, and so she and I went to go see Pink. I didn't realize on a Thursday night that a concert was going to start as late as it did, so I
Yes.
took her, and we had to leave early,
Yeah,
but
but still.
but it was still
Still.
fun.
Well, you guys bring the kids up. They can tour the radio station. I would love to meet the family, and just put TikTok in the back of your mind, because you might be, or Instagram or YouTube, you might be a great resource to moms who are dealing with a child with a rare disease, and that might be the way that you can give back to the community. So,
Thank you. I appreciate it.
well, it was great to meet you, Jennifer, and I'm
Nice to meet
glad you
you.
reached out to us. You are special to us, and I'm glad you and your family are listeners to Sunny.
Thank you.